Hello, this is David Stringer. I'm the publisher of Prescott E-News, and we are very fortunate, honored this afternoon really, to have a young gentleman who's just getting started in Yavapai County politics. I have today in the studio Matt Tucciarone. About a month ago, Matt filed a statement of interest with the Secretary of State to running for Legislative District 1 representative. And so, Matt, welcome to our studio today.
Thank you, David.
And I want to give you a chance here to introduce yourself to the audience and maybe explain why you're running. Why did you pull a packet?
Well, you know, in our district, we are a very strong conservative district. We always have been. And I feel that we don't have the proper representation in our district when it comes to strong conservative America First values. So therefore, I pulled my packet. I decided to run. And one of the things that really inspired me to run was, you know, during last year, I worked for Turning Point Action for Chase to Vote.
Okay.
And I want to tell you, the American spirit, it's alive and it's well.
Did you work for Turning Point here in Yavapai County or down in Maricopa or somewhere else?
In Yavapai County, specifically Sedona.
Okay.
And the American spirit.
Not the most conservative part of Yavapai County.
No, it was a challenge. And that's where I saw that the spirit of America is alive and it's well, and it's grassroots initiatives such as Turning Point, the Young Republicans, strong conservatives that really got our president elected. And so that's another reason why I decided to run. I'm also a constitutionalist. I have my own take on the Constitution, and I'll take you through that right now. That is, we the people.
Before we get to that, let me just say, I think you're right. I've been politically involved here in Yavapai County, and we are one of the most conservative counties in the state, I would say, one of the most conservative districts in the state for sure. And you say that you don't think the current representation is as conservative as it should be. Can you elaborate on that just a bit?
For example, a lot of the bills that they're pushing through are actually co-sponsored bills.
Okay.
There's no originality. There's a lot of focus, it seems like.
You mean the bills that they come back and tell the constituents that they passed this bill and that bill? It's really a bill that they helped somebody else introduced and they signed on as a co-sponsor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What else, in your judgment, have they done that didn't comport with conservative principles?
Well, you know, a few months ago, Senator Mark Fincham, during session, was pulled over for a traffic violation.
I remember that.
And during session, our state legislators have immunity. So
it's in the Arizona Constitution.
Yep.
As it is in most state constitutions.
And the federal Constitution as well. Yeah. So one of the incumbents sponsored and tried to push a bill through to amend that. And
you're referring now to an LD-1 incumbent?
Yes. Okay. And the constituents, it didn't go anywhere. The constituents did not vote for that. So
I mean the legislative colleagues. Of the incumbent, the legislator in question.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, when you're going after your own, colleagues in the state legislature and pushing that type of bill, it's like, well, why aren't you pushing a bill that's going to help your constituents?
I take your point. In other words, that our LD-1 delegation, if you will, we have a senator and two incumbents, maybe not working as closely as they might. When somebody makes a mistake or is subject to criticism, one of their colleagues sort of jumps on it and tries to make political capital out of it by doing a ballot referral and trying to further embarrass them, and ends up maybe embarrassing themselves because nobody else down in the legislature supported that kind of thing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So focus on your constituents.
Right.
Your colleague, not your colleagues.
All right. Is there any particular issue, Matt, that if you're successful and get elected to the state legislature, any particular thing that you want to accomplish?
Yes. One of those things that I would love to accomplish, it's criminal justice reform.
Okay.
One of my points is actually going to be smart justice reform. We have a high incarceration rate here in Arizona.
One of the highest in the country.
Yep. I think the conviction rate is 94.
It's about 94, 95% here in Yavapai County. I don't know
Yavapai
statewide,
County,
but
yes.
Every county is different.
And a lot of those convictions are nonviolent drug offenses as well. So instead of incarcerating a person, which costs about $25,000 to $30,000 per inmate.
It's about $40,000 in the county. It's an issue that I have some familiarity with. About $40,000 to house somebody in the county jail.
Right.
It's about $15,000, $20,000 at the state prison level.
Okay. And instead of focusing on throwing them in jail and getting them help, you need to get them the proper care and help, because that would also save a lot of money on taxpayers. And the money saved, if you house somebody, say, in a rehab facility, that's about $5,000 to $10,000 as opposed to $40,000, as you were saying.
And you don't need correctional officers and things of that nature. Yeah.
And with the money saved, you can allocate the resources and the money saved to rehab facilities. And those who have completed treatment, it encourages them to open up more rehab facilities for these people. And it creates jobs. It creates a whole different economy when it comes to saving money on incarcerating.
All right. I appreciate you sharing that with us. And you mentioned saving tax dollars.
Yes.
You're probably familiar with the fact that one of the Republicans running for governor has actually suggested reducing and maybe even eliminating our state income tax. Where do you stand on that?
I am 100% for it. I think Arizona needs to be the first state to eliminate its income tax.
Do you think it's feasible? Do you think it can be done?
I do think it's feasible, and the government's going to have to get used to being limited, because that's what we are about in our state. And as constitutional conservatives, we are all about limited government. So we're going to have to get creative, and I think we can, because Americans are very smart in being creative, that we can create a solution to that. But it is time to eliminate the income tax.
Right.
In my eyes, it should have never been implemented in the first place.
So at the federal level, we have a president who is trying very hard to cut taxes.
Yes.
To my knowledge, the Republican legislature, and it is a Republican legislature right now, really hasn't done much in cutting taxes since Ducey left office. We did have a tax cut.
Right.
We have the flat tax now of 2.5%. But I don't think in the last session we really did anything to cut taxes in the state of Arizona. To my knowledge, does that sound right to you?
That's absolutely correct.
And if you're saying that if you got down there to the legislature, you'd start pushing for some meaningful tax cuts.
Our current gubernatorial candidate, Andy Biggs, he has talked about it. And if I'm elected and he's elected, I will get behind him 100% on that.
I'm sure he'll be glad to hear that.
Yes.
Matt,
it is time.
Yeah,
we have to.
Matt, I appreciate you sharing all that with us and introducing yourself and telling us what your goals are if you get to the legislature. I want to touch now on a sensitive matter, and I decided to do this interview with you largely because it is a very sensitive matter. It involves the criminal justice system, and it involves you. As you may know, I'm an attorney and have some background in defense work and the criminal justice system. So I'm going to talk to you now for a moment, just like I talk to a client. And I want to ask you some very direct questions, maybe tough questions, but I think it's important we owe to our viewers an explanation.
Yes.
Because there have been, I'll just say, rumors, maybe promoted by some of the people that are not supportive of you, but there have been things said that I think need to be clarified. So I'm referring now to 2021, maybe into 22, but it concerned an arrest that is a matter of record in Sedona. And I wonder if you can tell us what happened. Do you remember getting arrested? And do you remember what happened in that case?
Yes, I remember that day very clearly.
Go ahead.
I was traveling in my car, heading westbound on 89A.
This is in Sedona?
In Sedona.
Okay.
And I was pulled over by Officer Willitson because I had a sovereign plate, state national plate on my car.
All right. You, at that time, were interested in the state sovereignty movement? Is that the right term?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I was. Because I was during that time in my life, after 2020, we had all these issues that transpired, and I've always tried to find a constitutional solution. And that group at the time seemed really appealing, and I tested it out.
This is sort of post-COVID or during COVID?
Right.
Some of the alleged government overreach?
Yes. There were still the mask mandates and things like that happening. And so I got involved, I tested the waters, and it seemed like a great idea at the time. There was a lot of things that I agreed with, especially when it comes to limited government. But it seemed to be, as the further I went down this path with this movement, it seemed to be a little too far extreme.
Okay.
And I wanted to be a leader, not a follower in an extreme group. So I took a step back and said, I think it's time that you go traditional.
So you, and I apologize for interrupting, but
Yes.
just to clarify, you are no longer associated with the state sovereignty movement. Is that correct?
Correct.
And when did you begin to disassociate yourself?
I began to disassociate myself with them probably right after a few months after the incident took place.
Okay. Now, this incident, I'm just looking here at my notes.
Yeah.
I believe it was in September of 2021.
June of 2021.
June of 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were stopped by an officer, and at that particular time, you had a license tag that was given to you by the state sovereignty group.
State
and they
nationals,
Said, this is,
yeah.
And they said, this is good enough. This is all you really need.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened? They stopped you and
Stopped me, and he said, I'm stopping you because you have, it appears to be a fictitious plate
okay.
on your vehicle. And so I did the whole spiel that they give you to say to the police officer, you don't present your license and things like that. So that, of course, made him upset.
Well, there's, as I understand it, and I have not seen it myself, I have
Yes.
not seen the YouTube video, but I'm told there's a very graphic, detailed, sort of a camcorder type interview of your encounter with the officer, Williston, and the arrest.
Yes.
So how did you happen to get arrested? Why did this situation escalate to an arrest?
He wanted me to get out of the vehicle.
All right.
And I told him, no, there's no violent crime here. No crime was committed. I'm not getting out of my vehicle for a license plate. I'd prefer to take a citation, court date. And then he called for backup.
So your feeling was, this is not a situation where I should have to get out of the car. It's not a situation where the police should be searching my car, that type of thing.
Correct.
So you simply did not cooperate.
Correct.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, what happened?
Well, when backup came, Officer Beers, she was one of the backup police officers that showed up to the scene. She came to my passenger side, and she was actually talking very calm with me, and we were having a very calm conversation. And I think that's when Officer Willitson was getting even more upset because I wouldn't give him the time of day because he was already very, the way he approached the vehicle was very forceful as well from the get-go.
In the video, in the camcorder recording, you were physically removed from the vehicle.
I was,
Yeah.
yes.
And were you injured?
Yes.
All right. How were you injured?
I had bruises on my elbow and my knee.
You were thrown to the ground?
I was, yeah. Before he pulled me out, finally, because Officer Beers was like, just comply with him. And I said, okay. And he tried to open my door as I'm talking to her, and it was locked because I have automatic locks. And I said, okay. All right, officer. But he still, even though I had my hands up, he reached in the door, opened up the door, and then threw me to the ground.
All right. So then you were handcuffed and
Yes.
taken into custody. What were you charged with?
I was charged with a felony charge for resisting arrest causing physical and bodily injury to a police officer.
Did you cause physical and bodily injury?
I did not, no.
What happened to that charge?
That charge was actually dismissed out of the Yavapai County Superior Court.
All right. Were you ever actually prosecuted for that case?
No.
All right. And do you have any conviction at all for that charge?
No, I do not.
All right. Were there other charges?
Yes.
Go ahead.
The fictitious license plate and failure to show driver's license.
All right. Were you prosecuted for those charges?
No.
All right. Do you have any conviction at all for any of these,
No,
any of the charges stemming from this incident?
No, I do not.
You do not. Okay. So, all right. So that's one incident. I guess that we'll call that the first incident.
Yes.
As I understand it, there was a second arrest.
Yes, there was.
How did that happen?
Well, that happened in 2023.
Okay.
Around the same time, I think it was June of 2023, so about 2 years after. So after going through all, the court proceedings with the first incident, getting the case dismissed, what happened was the judge said we were going to dismiss this case out of Yavapai County Superior because also the prosecuting attorney at the time, Larissa Parker, said there is no felony. Upon reviewing the body cam footage, you did not cause injury to this police officer. So what they did was they dismissed it out of Superior and gave it back down to
Superior, you mean the
Yavapai County Superior Court.
Okay.
And then they gave it back down to the Sedona Municipal Court, so the magistrate.
Back in Sedona.
Back in Sedona. They had 6 months to file. And they handed it back down as just a resisting arrest misdemeanor charge.
Okay.
And they had 6 months to file. And
did they do that?
They did not, as to my knowledge, because I waited about 6 months, kept looking. I was like, wow, 6 months has gone by. They did not
in your view, they had elected, after reviewing the matter, not to prosecute the case at all.
Correct. Plus, I mean, it's simple law. Like, if a higher court dismisses something and passes it back down to the lower courts, usually the lower courts aren't going to pick it up and prosecute. So as to my knowledge, I thought I was in the clear.
I don't know if that's sound law, but that was your understanding.
That was my understanding.
And you had not received any kind of a notice from the court that we are going to set an arraignment date and recharge it, refile it?
Not at all.
Like that. Okay.
No.
All right.
And so one day I was biking to a trail, and I was actually leaving my job, and I was going westbound on 89A, and I got pulled over by Officer Willardson in the bike lane.
The same officer.
The same officer. And he said to me, stay right there. There's a warrant out for your arrest. And I said, I don't understand what you're talking about, officer. As to my knowledge, there has been no warrant.
Matt, I'm going to interrupt you right here to just clarify something for our viewers. You, at that time, on that second incident, you were not displaying a state sovereignty tag or anything of that sort.
No, because I had gotten out of that movement.
I see. Okay.
Because it's been 2 years after the incident.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. All right. So you weren't committing any new offense when you were pulled over. Officer Williston must have recognized your car, recognized you, pulled you over for an open warrant.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Correct.
So what happened?
He got off his motorcycle and he said, get off your bike. And I said, let me call an attorney. And he said,
I don't remember getting a call that day.
No, and I wish I knew you back then, David. But I was trying to get a hold of somebody that I knew that was an attorney. And he said, put your phone away. And I said, was there a summons? He said, I don't have to tell you anything. So he then tackled me off my bike, threw me to the ground again. I was injured again. And he arrested me. And I thought he was just, okay, he's arrested me for the warrant. I'm going to go down to municipal jail and bond out because he said there was a $1,500 bond. Okay,
this would have been a misdemeanor warrant at that point.
A misdemeanor warrant, yep. So he then reads me, the charges. And I said, charges? He said, yes, I'm also arresting you for resisting arrest, causing physical bodily injury to a police officer. And I said, on what grounds? He said, well, upon tackling you, my knuckles hit the ground, and therefore I'm injured.
So this is the second time Officer Willison charged you with basically an assault and resisting arrest.
Yes.
An assault on him.
Yes.
Yeah. What happened to that case?
That case was completely dismissed. they didn't even wait for me to go to court to defend myself. I believe the prosecuting attorney was like, okay, we have a cop situation on our hands at this point, obviously coming after me for a second time, same charges, same scenario. And they wrote a very strong letter to me saying, Mr. Tucciarone, we are not going to follow these charges or accept these charges from the Sedona Police Department.
When you say you got they sent you a letter and you characterize it as a very strong letter.
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that letter?
I do, yes.
Would you allow us to publish that letter?
Absolutely.
To present it to our viewers?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll try to do that.
And I also have a copy of my cases all being dismissed and no convictions.
All right. So, and that was going to be my next question. Out of these two arrests, these two incidents, what kind of a record do you now have? Were you ever convicted of anything?
I was never convicted.
Never convicted of anything coming out of these two separate arrests?
Correct.
All right. So the body cam footage that we see on YouTube, the implication that you were sort of a, what is the term, that you sort of a scofflaw, if you will,
Yeah.
that, and that you have a record, a felony record or some kind of a criminal record.
Yeah.
That's false.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
All right. And you've checked that. You're absolutely sure.
I've checked that. I checked it even last week to make sure everything.
Okay. Now,
correct.
in fairness, Matt, I should tell you that that I've done some checking, and there was an $800 fine paid.
Correct.
All right. Could you clarify why did you, if you weren't convicted of a crime, even a misdemeanor, traffic offense, why did you pay an $800 fine?
Well, at that time, when I went and handled my case for that warrant that was out, because they did reopen the case, I found out that it was a police officer that filed again to reopen the case, which was on the last day possible that they could file. So instead of, fighting with the system, in honor, I went to court and I built a very good rapport with the judge. And I even apologized to the city of Sedona for any trouble that has caused, for the town itself, and worked out a deal with the prosecuting attorney. Why don't we just settle for $800 and then it will go into court dismissal and no conviction.
Okay. So when you say that you have no conviction, and I'm not questioning that or disputing that in any way, but that one of the reasons or the key reason is because you worked out a disposition that you would pay an $800 fine and the case itself would be dismissed.
Correct.
So no conviction, $800 fine, but no actual conviction on your record. Is that a fair summary?
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate that. I think, and that comports with my understanding of the court records. Well, Matt, I think this is important that we have I think it's important that we had this conversation because I think some viewers have been misled and confused about what really happened there in Sedona. It does give me some insight now into why, when you get to the legislature, you may well be supporting some criminal justice reform measures.
Yes.
I think that's under the circumstances, that's very fine. But tell us this, and I think our viewers, would appreciate hearing this. This is a very conservative jurisdiction.
Yes.
We support soldiers. We support police officers. We support authority. How do you feel about that? Do you respect police officers?
Look, getting in that uniform every day and doing what they do.
It's a tough job.
It's a tough job, and especially in today's climate, it's a very tough job. I mean, look what happened in LA. Look what has happened in Minneapolis. I mean, it's a tough job. So I don't blame some officers for being the way they are, but we do need to put more money into our police force so that they can get better training and get the proper support that they need in learning how to de-escalate a situation instead of escalating a situation. I support good, conservative police officers.
Okay.
100%.
All right.
I support
appreciate
them.
that. All right. Thank you. Matt, we're running out of time today.
Yes.
So I want to give you a minute or two here to talk about if somebody wants to support your campaign.
Yes.
If somebody agrees with you on this criminal justice reform stuff and wanting to cut taxes and things of that nature. How do they get behind your campaign?
Well, they can go to mattinthehouse.org. You can email me at info@mattinthehouse.org. And I'll give out my personal cell phone too. It's 928-800-1303. And on my website, you can donate, you can sign petitions, and you can see my other 5 points that I am running on for our district for the House of Representatives in District 1.
Matt, thank you so much. I think we are out of time. I want to thank you for coming in and appreciate these very candid answers to my questions. And we will, with your permission, post some of these documents that you referred to, making it clear that there is no criminal conviction coming out of these incidents and that you are not, in fact, a convicted miscreant or scofflaw.
Yes.
And fine. So any last words for the viewers?
I'll leave you all with this. We, the people, are the grantors in original jurisdiction. We are the beneficiaries to the trust, which is our Constitution, and we need to hold our trustees, which is our elected officials, accountable with integrity. And that's what I intend to bring in the House of Representatives for District 1.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I want to thank our viewers for watching. My name is David Stringer. I'm the publisher of Prescott E-News. Thanks for watching.